So let's go over your typical adjustments when running the cover one. Now, typically, what you want to do, as I mentioned, coaching adjustments, you want to sort this out by speed. Once you put the cornerback matchups by speed, you should be pretty good. The other thing you really have to get used to and get comfortable with when running this defense is you need to have your best pass rusher on this left-hand side. So this left DN spot is where you need your best pass rusher. I guess technically that is the right end. The outside linebackers, better zone they have, better it's going to be. Middle linebacker, best block shed, best pass rush moves. You can put there, the better. It is what it is with that player. Half the time he comes in free, the other half the time he doesn't. It's not really a real consistent blitz, but he will do really well against a run, in any run going to the right. And then he also will sometimes just randomly shoot the gap by himself, and it's an instant A gap. But for the most part, I'd consider this a shed D with really good coverage. So the first things that you really have to know is the main routes people are going to be trying to abuse you on are going to be crossing routes. So with crossing routes, your base setup is going to be to put your outside linebackers in curl flats. And then I don't typically like guarding the running back. I will typically take the safety in the scenario and either put him into a mid-read. You do that by putting his adjustment and then down on the left analog stick. That puts him in a mid-read. And then I lurk. So this is my base adjustment that I run against everybody. Now, if my opponent is hitting me with wheel routes or unbumpable fades, I do have adjustments for those that I do make, but I just wanted to show you my base setup. And typically, I won't actually press. I don't typically press, and I don't typically show blitz unless my opponent is hitting me with unbumps or wheels. Against a spread set like this. Now, against a tight set, where I do have to worry about the unbumps, I have to worry about, little baby hitches or just certain routes that get wide open from compressed sets, then, I make the adjustment to whether I show blitz or I press. So, your base setup is right here. Now, just to show you how this will work, you'll see a lot of people doing something like this, where they've got a flat, a drag, and a post. So like this is a general setup that people like to do, like a mesh post type setup. So we'll go ahead, keep in mind, my user is going to be in the middle of the field. So you'll see right away, boom, the mid-read, you see kind of locks onto that player and doesn't really let you throw that too much. We go to the instant replay, show that to you. But by placing your safety in that mid-read, what in the world? Here we go. Let's try this again. Right. So this deep post, you see it will beat the man coverage. But the mid-read, your safety in a mid-read is going to follow this the entire way across the field. So that's going to do a good job at taking that away. And it's not going to matter if it's coming from left to right or right to left. That is one of the main adjustments I like to make. Now, the purples that you're putting on the outside, you do really need to pass commit, right? So I'm going to come out in another man-beating play. So, once again, here's the general setup. Now, you can hit left bumper and then up on the right analog stick, and that's going to pass commit. Now, what that does is it just helps these purples get out there and defend the sidelines a little bit better. If you think your opponent's running, or say you just don't really feel like dealing with the potential thought of a run, then you don't have to pass commit. I tend to pass commit more times than not, just because the way that I look at it, if I'm in this defense, I'm really not playing the run. I can slow down the run, but this is not my run defense. I'm not going to come out in this against I-form close, for instance. So I'm assuming they're passing when they're coming out in a set like this. So we're going to go ahead and do just a general setup that you'll see. Once again, here's your little fade, drag, post combination. Keep in mind my user would be in the middle of the field. But you'll see, boom, same scenario, instant pressure. But that mid-read by the safety, I'm going to show you on the instant replay, the mid-read sits right to where that post route would be going. So if you're just watching this route, like not open, not open, not open, but you're throwing, if you throw this right at this safety that's in the mid-read. So all he's going to do is just float over, boom. Now at this point, he will just sit there. So you'll be able to throw this if it hits the sideline over here. But that's why, especially with the way the pressure is in this game, that's why having a good pass rusher in this left spot is just so huge. I can't really explain why he does so well in this spot, but you see, you don't have all that time. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3. I mean, you may have 4 seconds or so, but you see the drag route's not going to be open. The post route's not going to be open. And this is keeping in fact that I'm not even really using anything right here. Like, my user's not nowhere to be found. But that mid-read by the safety will take away all these crossing routes and give you time for the pressure to come in. So now let's move along into the routes that really will beat man coverage. The post routes, that's the easiest way to take them away, in my opinion, is by putting that safety in the mid-read. Now, there are times when your opponent will be trying to hit you with wheel routes. So, for instance, like PA wide receiver in, you have the wheel route to the right. Now, that wheel route will get open. The key that I like to do when running this is I like to put my safety in a outside third. And there's a big difference between how an outside third, which you'll see right here, you see how he is all the way on the sideline over there, compared to a deep half, which is going to be right here. A deep half by this safety will not play anything. It will not play the wheel route. You'll be able to throw it right up the sideline as he breaks. However, if you put the safety into an outside third, which is going to be left on the right analog stick, that will not happen. You will not be able to throw a wheel route at all. Same thing on the left-hand side. Say that I have the wheel route to the left. It is left on the left analog stick. That's going to be your outside third. And once again, just look at the difference in the play art between the outside third and a deep half. So there's the deep half on the left. There's the outside third. Like it really is a drastic difference in how they play. Now, in terms of your outside linebackers, right now, I either go curl flat or I go cloud flat. Cloud flats don't play too much, to be honest. Unfortunately, we can't really put them in anything better. I mean, you got seam flats, which are probably, honestly, your best bet. In most scenarios, the seam flat would be what I would recommend. Curl flat, seam flat, I don't really understand the full difference in the two just yet. But I do know everybody has told me that the seam flat is the route you want to use. So that is actually up on the right analog stick. Or excuse me, up on the left analog stick. So there you go on that. Now pay attention to this wheel route on this left-hand side. Or excuse me, on this right-hand side, you got Randall Cobb on the wheel route. So you're going to see, can't throw it. And that's just that the way that deep safety plays it on the outside third is huge. If you try to fit it into a window, it's going to be dropped or picked. It really takes away the best man beating route in the game. So, just to show you another different variation of this, we're going to go to flood at a bunch, pistol bunch tight end. Now this is, once again, this is another great play. So we're going to go ahead and put our outside linebackers in seam flats. Going to put the safety over here on the left on the outside third. Now in this scenario, I will lurk on the other safety because he's going to be the guy on the running back. And you'll notice that, once again, this wheel route, can't really throw it. Safety's right there. Easy pick. It's just, like I said, you're taking away the most effective route that beats man coverage with how you adjust your safety, and that's huge. Once you take that away, then you know that you can put mid-reads on the field to take away the post. You can lurk the middle of the field. You don't have to actually worry about sprinting back deep to go guard something. The only thing that gives me a little bit of problem when I'm running this defense is people that really incorporate the running back into the game plan. So, like, if they're mixing in, a running back going on wheel routes, a running back going to the flats, I don't typically like guarding the running back. So, since I adjust my safeties like that, it is always best for me if my opponent does block the running back. So that is why I do think it's very important to actually have these good pass rushers, just to make your opponent actually think about, having somebody back there to help, to help against the pressure. That's pretty much it. The last thing I wanted to note is the unbumps. So the only other thing that really beats man coverage at this point is unbumpables. So I'm gonna show you, for instance, tight offset tight end, slot outs. This is a play that I love mixing in when I see man coverage, because imagine if my safety is down here in the box, right? Or if I'm in a mid-read, whatever I'm doing with my user. If I don't make an adjustment to this set, I'm going to have 2 touchdowns on this left. I'm going to have Randall Cobb over here on 18, and on 13, Michael Gallup will also be a touchdown. And you'll see that right here. Boom. Easy one-play score, assuming I catch the ball. But I'm going to go to the instant replay just to show you. This play glitches out man coverage. And something that you really gotta know is there, right? So the reason it works is you have these off the line of scrimmage unbumpable fades. So for whatever reason, with them combined with the little outbreaking routes, it just glitches out the defensive assignments. Like you see, at this point, they swap, but nobody tells Phillip Gaines that they swap, so Michael Gallup's wide open. It's just the way that it works. So you got to be aware of that scenario. So when people go to these tight sets like this, my adjustment to that is to actually press. And I press against tight slots, tight doubles on. Basically anything like that, I either make 2 adjustments. I either press or I show blitz. If I know they're trying to hit me with an unbump, I press. So you'll press, you'll shade to the outside. That is very important. Remember, you have to shade to the outside. Otherwise, they're still just going to get their free release. And then you'll notice, well, I'm just going to throw the ball away real quick. The guy on the left still was able to get open. So I'm going to try this again. Typically doesn't happen. I think it's just a combination of Randall Cobb being pretty elusive and Phillip Gaines not being that tough. So try this again. I pressed, shade to the outside. You see, they're a lot closer to him. Now, like, if you're not back deep, you can still get beat deep. But I'm going to go ahead to the instant replay and just show you what actually happens. Typically, they'll still get that free, kind of free release, but then they get pressed. And then at that point, you're in that trail technique. So once you have, if you have fast corners there, you can still play this easy and swat the ball. But if, your receiver has a massive speed advantage, you could still be in trouble here. But this is the only play, to my knowledge, in the game that has both these unbumpable fades from a compressed set. Anything else people like to do would be, you see a lot of baby hitch routes right now. So like you would see, for instance, something like something like this, like Y out, halfback swing. So the setup that you would see a lot of people doing would be this right here. You got a hitch by Witten. You got a out route by Cobb. Then you got the post and you got the corner. So you'll see right here. Those baby outs, especially. I guess what I'm trying to say is these baby outs are very difficult to defend if they're lowballed. But if you press, like you see here, they sit underneath just enough to where you can't really throw it. If you don't press though, it's an easy completion on these lowballed hitches. You see, like I threw it right there, was able to make the play, but that was only because of the press alignment, right? So you see, the pressure was decent, made me move, but yeah, that's basically it, guys. I mean, the 2-3-6 is once you get used to the safeties, adjusting with your safety, the bumps, how to defend against the wheel routes. That's pretty much all there is to it. Man coverage is not that easy to beat in this game. So knowing how to counter the few things that it does beat, or it does struggle against, like once you get to that point where you know how to adjust to the things that your opponent's going to try to, hit you with, it makes it very difficult to pass on this defense, especially with that good pass rusher. So that's the 2-3-6 basically in a nutshell. Make sure you put your quarterback matchups by speed. That is very important. Probably the most important thing I can tell you. The other things to note: best pass rusher on the left of screen defensive end spot, which is technically your right end. Also, wheel routes. Don't just assume the wheel route will be guarded if you show blitz. Now it can. It can work if you show blitz. It can get defended. But there will be times where they'll still be able to, fit it into the window with a nice little rat catch. So make sure you put the safeties in the outside third. That's very important. If you put them in a deep half, they won't do anything. It's got to be an outside third to defend a wheel route. And that's pretty much it, guys. A compressed set. Make sure you press. Shade to the outside would be my recommendation. If your opponent is hitting you with corner routes, that's the only thing I didn't really talk on. If they're constantly throwing corner routes, I like to press them, and then I like to shade them to the outside again. That just makes sure that basically they're going to be doing everything they can to be on the outside. They're going to get the best press they can, and then, sometimes the corner will get defended, sometimes it won't. It's just the way the game plays. But if they throw a corner route a little bit late in this game, it's a pick. If they throw it a little bit early, it's a pick. So they have to get really used to their timing on corner routes. Take away the post by putting a safety into a mid-read, and that's pretty much all I got for you. Hope you guys enjoy. Cover 1 is definitely back. Just got to make sure you have some speed in your secondary. You need a good pass rusher on that left of screen defensive end, and make sure that you know how to defend those wheel routes.